My name is Capell and I'm the Natural Capital Advisor for Western Local Land Services based out at Cobar. So my job is all about natural capital on farms, which looks like any environmental assets that we have. So it could be vegetation, it could be our soils, water, any wildlife that we have. And for those landholders that are doing a really good job at looking after the environment, finding ways that they can have a financial return. So that might be paying them for carbon farming, so drawing down carbon into our trees and our soils, or for looking after really important threatened species habitat. I grew up west of Orange on a little apple orchard, so I grew pretty sick of the apples and was keen to go out and see a few other industries. I studied down at Canberra at the Australian National University, so I did a Bachelor of Environmental Science and a Masters of Agricultural Innovation. But for this job you can really have any bachelor's degree in agriculture or environment as long as you get to study the units that you want to, which should include soil hopefully. There's so much potential for technology to be a really important part of the work that we do. So because of my education in ag innovation, I got to do lots of work with drones at uni, which is absolutely fantastic, and such a great insight into how we can use technology on farm more. Out here in these landscapes, we're working on, not the traditional farm. They're big stations that can be thousands and thousands of acres. So using technology is a really great way to make an assessment across the property. So we can use drones to go into really remote areas. We can use satellites to detect soil carbon and changes in vegetation and what kind of feeds on the ground. And hopefully in the future, we're using more remote sensing technology to look at soils as well. So there's so many exciting fronts, and artificial intelligence as well, using to detect species on the ground. So it's limitless opportunities in terms of technology in agriculture. In agricultural landscapes, we have what we call ecosystem services. So as well as producing food and fibre, we do lots of things on the ground that has benefits to wider society and our cities. So that includes, ground cover to stop dust storms reaching the east coast, but also helping to manage our carbon cycle by drawing down carbon dioxide into trees and into soil as well. So for landholders who are interested, they can develop something called a carbon credit, which is 1 tonne of carbon dioxide equivalent, and that becomes a credit that people can pay for. So landholders, it's really important for drought income diversity that they can find other income streams which can include carbon farmers getting paid to draw down carbon into their landscape. Usually I can be mapping up a property, looking at all the environmental assets that they might have. So before we go out, we can sort of try and gauge, what kind of vegetation types they might have and what kind of soil types they have on the ground. The natural capital space moves very quickly, so as policy issues come up, landholders might read something in the land that they're concerned about, so we'll field phone calls and explain what's going on in terms that they can understand and give them the right advice. Oh gosh, how do I even contain my excitement? So Australia's soils are very fascinating, and no matter where you go into a paddock and dig down, you'll always find something different. In the arid environment that we are in at the moment, the soils are very interesting and have lots of different ways in coping with the environmental conditions. So when I was at uni, actually how I got into this space was doing drone surveys out in the corner country out near Packsaddle, looking at biocrust. So we actually have out here, you might look and think that there's bare ground, but there's actually a living crust on top of the soil that is drawing down carbon and preventing wind erosion, and we can detect that with drones, which is very exciting. So there's always so much happening on the surface of soils and underneath. I think it's something that's so untapped in agriculture. Often we don't look underneath the paddock to see what we're actually working with. We've got soil biology, soil chemistry, soil physics. No matter what you're interested in, there's a soil career pathway for you, and we don't know enough about soils. There's so much still to learn. So it's an incredibly dynamic and exciting space. Definitely working in this role, it's really important to stay curious. So there's always more things you can be reading and asking questions about, and then more importantly, thinking about how to communicate sometimes really big and complex topics into ways that people can understand. So learning how to communicate, and that includes as well, often we do public speaking, working at field days, one-on-one, being really friendly with landholders and building up a good rapport. And then finally, I'd say too, definitely collaboration, because you're often bringing lots of people across the industry to the same table, and you want to set up that environment where we can all talk in the same language and move forward together. There's so many opportunities to get experience. I definitely recommend, if you're interested in soils and agronomy, there's always harvest work around school holidays, so you can go and get some casual jobs. But also I'd highly recommend getting in touch with your local agricultural show, or if you're in Sydney, going to Sydney Royal. It's really great to get experience, start to make some connections, and also they run the Young Judges competitions, which are fantastic for getting a bit more knowledge on some of the commodities we have, but also important skills like public speaking and explaining your thinking and problem solving. So there's lots of ways you can start to get inroads into the career. I absolutely love my job. I love that I go to bed every night knowing that I'm making a really important impact to agricultural industries. I think at my core, I'm very passionate about agricultural sustainability and making sure we hand on our farming landscapes to the next generation in a really good condition. So it's exciting to be able to help reward farmers for all the great work they do, and also have important on the ground impact. So it's great as well living in the community I get to work in. I love living in Cobar and being involved in the community as well. So all the aspects are just fantastic.